Sattva yoga is really, for me, is the most complete practice there is, really. It's a holistic practice. So the sum of its parts, the sum is greater than its parts, and that's what sattva is. It's an all-inclusive practice which includes yet transcends all that it includes. And it did not develop from one strain or one lineage, you see. So it was, in my experience throughout my life as I was studying yogic practices and mind-body relationship, I realized that one practice on its own just wasn't enough. It was, after a while, it seemed the routine became boring. There was not enough inspiration in it, and there was a time that after, no matter what practice you were doing, you would start reaching a plateau. You will start hitting a plateau. And then you would have to push yourself, and that pushing yourself to break that plateau, to create something new, was not healthy anymore. It wasn't healthy for the body or the mind, it was just for the ego. That pushing through the plateau, or like in Hatha, you can just, those advanced asanas ultimately are not doing anything for your vitality. They are just serving the ego. I can do this, they don't serve you. So in my studies of different practices of yoga, I realized that there has to be a practice which is whole, which is complete, which includes all, not just one this, I am a Hatha yogi, I am a Kundalini yogi. It has to be a whole practice, and that's how I was practicing. So it wasn't, before I was teaching sattva, I was practicing sattva, for many years. My master was practicing it like that. And a practice which was very deep, yet at the same time capable of taking you very high, a practice which felt whole and complete. And that's what, when I started teaching people, it was not sattva, I was teaching it. And then people started asking, what is this practice called? What is this? There is nothing like this. We have not experienced anything like this. What is this? Or somebody would say, this is like Tai Chi, but it's not Tai Chi. This is martial art, it's not martial art. It's Hatha, but it's not Hatha. It's Kundalini, it's not Kundalini. It's Tantra, but it's not. So it's a whole. You see, so that's why the word sattva came. I said, okay, this is sattva. Sattva means whole, an ever-evolving whole, not whole as in which is stagnant whole, that somehow it's complete. It's not a complete like that, because nothing is complete. Anything which is complete is boring. It's end. Well, then what's the point? So as a practice, is an organic practice. You see, it's an alive practice. So it's whole, but it's also still always evolving. So there is new intelligence which keeps arising through the practitioners. As the people practice in themselves, there is new intelligence arises. As I keep teaching within, through me, new intelligence, new techniques, new ways of how we can refine our practices, what all we can include keeps arising. So we constantly, the sattva practice is absorbing new discoveries in medical science, in neurology. At the same time, it is very much respectful of all the tradition that we have anchored the practice in. So we say, with a practice with a strong spine and a soft heart, it knows who it is, the practice. It's very certain of its origin, it's very certain of its purpose and its capacity, yet it's very humble and very open and willing to absorb new ways and what arises from the field. So for me, sattva is powerful. It's one of the most powerful practices out there. And I've studied Kriya and Kundalini and Tai Chi and martial. So it's the essence of it all is brought into Tantra, into Sattva, and all of the practices also. It's not just working on, so in Sattva we are looking at all the 5 layers of the body, you see. So the practice has the capacity to address all 5 layers of the body. The 5 layers being the first layer, the outermost layer being the body of food, or what we call Annamaya Kosha, which is your skeletal-muscular structure, you see, your organ systems. So there are specific practices and techniques which directly address your physical system, your physical needs of the body. Cleansing, releasing, not only building muscle and getting you in visible shape, but also to release the toxins in the body, and also releasing the cellular memory. You see, on a physical level also, your body holds memory, which is conditioned, that's where diseases arise from. So in Sattva practice, we are also releasing from the physical body this toxic information. Then subtler than the physical body is the body of energy, pranamaya kosha, which we know when we have a thought and then the energy moves and the body gets. Anyway, so it's the energy which moves which creates the communication, changes thought into matter and vice versa. And this Pranamaya Kosha we address through our practices also, as you experience, a lot of you have experiencing it, right? With our prana practices, with energies, practices, techniques, specifically working with that body. So you will feel you have done so much work even though you will move your body very little. So you're just really working with that subtle energy. And that's very crucial, because that energy, if you're not working with that energy, you're just working with the physical body and just your breath, but not really accessing the energy, then you are creating a limitation. So that energy is the key. So we work with the Pranamaya Kosha. Then subtler than Pranamaya Kosha is the body of thought. So in the Sattva practice, we are also very deeply working on unconditioning, deconditioning ourselves on a physical level, mental level, emotional level. Through our meditation practices, through the wisdom that is woven through the practices, the specific practices which are there to release, blockages of anger or abuse or victim stories. So it's not just us, there are specific kriyas and mantras which are designed, journeys which you can design to really tailor-made for that purpose of releasing subconscious thought disease patterns, really, because disease, when we're looking at the barrier to health, is not only on the physical level, it is also on the level of thought and what your belief systems are. So the beneath the thought practice, the Manamaya Kosha is the Jnanamaya Kosha, the body of wisdom. So in Sattva there is a lot of emphasis given to wisdom practices, personal wisdom practice and a collective wisdom practices, where you are holding circles, you are coming together in community. Even in your journey in the Sattva practice, there is always a stream of wisdom that is being woven through classes. Journeys can start with specific intentions, right? And deepening that strain of wisdom through movement and breath. So it's not just a thought, but it becomes more of a visceral experience, like something like devotion, which is one of the highest expressions of love. We can use the Sattva practice to deepen that wisdom, right, of devotion. Instead of it just being a mental concept, it can become a visceral experience. And beneath the body of wisdom is the body of bliss. So in Sattva, that's a plenty, is joy, a sense of aliveness. The practice is very alive, it is full of innocence, it's full of spontaneity, it's unpredictable. You see, predictability is anti-creation. If you look around, nature is unpredictable. That's what makes it so alive.